Okay, I have a frog in my throat this morning. I'm a little bit had a long day, and before I get into today's topic, I gotta congratulate the Canton boys and girls varsity hockey teams for an unbelievable year. Both of them played at the Boston Garden yesterday. Unfortunately, came up short, but I can't thank those kids enough for just an unbelievable X amount of years in hockey, and our career in hockey as parents has finally come to an end. But although they came up short, they've got so much to be proud of, and I really appreciate everything those kids have done over the years. So that I just wanted to get that out of the way. And in case you hear a little bit of hoarseness in my voice, it's from all the yelling and screaming yesterday. But so right now we're going to transition into today's topic, which is going to be laser vision correction, which I recently had, and I went through a company up here in Boston called Boston Vision. They've got offices in the city in Brookline, and they also have an office in Wellesley. And I've got a guest from Boston Vision. His name's Rick Young, and Rick is the refractive surgery director over there. And I don't know exactly what that means. I'm going to have him fill me in on that. And we're going to talk about all the different kinds of eye procedures that might be available to you. So, Rick, thanks for being here today.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Rick, can you just tell me a little bit about what you do there, and then maybe a little bit of your history with Boston Vision?
Sure. Yeah. So refractive surgery is eye correction surgery. Refraction is when you refract a patient to get their prescription, like a -4, whatever it might be. And we have a lot of avenues that we do that. We can get into that. But I've been with the practice. We were with Dr. Samir Melki, who's the founder of the practice. I've been there 15 years with him, and it's been a great ride. I've seen a lot of advancements with this surgery. It really is amazing surgery, as you can attribute to, where it's literally a 12-minute procedure that can change your life overnight. And it's just great to see these patients over the years. So it's a really satisfying job. What I do over here is I literally pretty much do everything from the marketing end, which is a big part of it, to having the phone ring, and then talking to the patients about getting them scheduled for the surgery, talking to them about their options, and then handling their post-operative care, any questions they might have. I have a team of 5 people to handle all our cases. So we kind of just oversee all the elective surgery patients and get them through the whole process.
Right. So I am a patient. You know that I referenced it. You referenced it in the crazy. First of all, I've never done a podcast representing a product or a service. There's so many opportunities to do that as a podcaster. You've got companies that come to you and I'll come to me and ask for this, but I actually asked you if you'd be willing to come on here. And the reason is I went years of gradually losing my vision. And if anybody has ever watched this on YouTube, I wore glasses for the most part. And I would say maybe 10, 12 years ago, I would get up in the morning and look at the cable box, and I started not to be able to see the clock. And I just thought it was just sleep in my eyes. I'd rub it out. And then eventually I started to realize I'm not seeing my phone as well. And then I wasn't seeing receipts in restaurants. And then over the years, it became like I was starting to not see street signs or faces. And so I've been, I got glasses. I started with cheaters, and then I went to get glasses. And about 3 years ago, I asked my eye doctor if I should look into Lasik. And his immediate response was, "Oh, no, you're not eligible for that, or you're not a candidate for that." So I kind of just accepted that as true. And then the next year I asked him the same thing. Is there a reason? He said, "It's just some people are eligible and others aren't. You're just not a good candidate." Third year, same thing. And then finally I said, I've got to ask. I had an ad on 98.5 The Sports Hub, which I listened to, and they've been advertising for you guys for a long time. And I just said, screw it. I got to go down there and just see why I'm not eligible. And then, I left there, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes later, and I was told, "No, you are a candidate." So that's my story. And I went in for the procedure, and we can get into all of that stuff. But I mean, it's been 6 weeks, and I can actually see you. I can read. I can look at my phone. I can drive. And although I'll say it's not 100% perfect, I'd say I'm 90% better than I was. So that's a little bit of my history. Is that consistent with what you hear from other patients?
Sometimes, it's one of those things is, It's like a specialty. LASIK is, it's very, if a lot of your eye doctors that you go see on the regular basis fit you for contacts and glasses, but they're not really, some are, but some aren't up to date on the LASIK, who can get LASIK eye surgery. They have a basic knowledge of it, but in some cases they're thinking that maybe it's not a good idea, and they just don't know. That's why I recommend everyone out there who's listening is really, if you're having issues with your eyes, there are so many options that we can do for patients now that your eye doctors might not know that's out there. So it's always good, like I always say, when you need a heart issue, you go to a cardiologist, right? Same with the eye or anything specialty. You want to go to doctors who do this all the time and know what they can treat. And you're living proof that happens, right? So you were told you're non-candidate, and we do have this happen a lot. I mean, not often, but we do have patients come in and say, "Oh, I was told I was not a candidate," and we're like, "Well, I don't know why they told you this. We can treat you, and we can help you." So it's always good to get an opinion. I mean, we offer a free evaluation to come in. There's no charge to do it, and we're more than happy to give you all the options there are out there for vision correction.
Rick, one other thing on the eligibility. When I was having issues initially, I was having issues with reading and up close, but as time went on, distance became a problem. And I do remember my doctor saying that the LASIK, even though he said I wasn't eligible, he said the LASIK wasn't going to fix the reading piece. Do you have any thoughts or comments on that at all?
Yeah, the way we do it now is with people like you who are farsighted, where some people get confused about farsighted and nearsighted. If you're actually, it's the opposite. If you're nearsighted, you can't see far. If you're farsighted, you can't see up close. Yeah, there's a way we can treat reading called Monovision, where we actually take your dominant eye and treat that for distance, and take your non-dominant eye and actually correct that for reading. And we do like a contact lens trial to kind of show the patient what that would be like before we even do any surgery. Yeah. But a lot of patients do love it because we give you a little reading vision, because everybody, when they get to be in their mid 40s, it's a condition called presbyopia, which is just the natural aging process of the eye. Yeah. So the lens of the eye kind of loses its ability to focus. So you kind of lose that reading ability. It kind of hits you at like 45. It's like it kind of hits you like a truck. So yes, there are things we can do, but it's kind of on a patient-specific basis. That's why I say, even if the doctor says reading we can't correct, there's actually a way we can, and we can try to do some options with that. So I definitely would say get evaluated anyway.
I'm glad I asked that, because that's what happened with me. As a matter of fact, after the surgery, that's what I've noticed, that the left eye is my distance eye now, and my right eye is my up close, my reading eye. Over the last 6 weeks or so, that's one thing that I do notice, is that it's almost like the eyes are competing against each other. Right. Where I'll be reading and I'll feel my left eye reading, and I just want my right eye reading. And as time goes by, my right eye is taking control of the close-up, and my left eye is taking control of the distance. So there's a little bit of initial wrestling. Do you hear that with other patients or no?
Yes. It just takes time to get used to. Actually, it's your brain adjusting to it. There'll become a time, David, that you won't notice the difference. It's because you're only 6 weeks out into this, but your brain will adjust to this. And that's why we do the trial first. We kind of see how you stand right away for a week or two to see if initially you like it. And if you do like it, that's a good sign. And then if you don't like it, we just don't really do the surgery in reality. I mean, we want you because we could do it for distance only. In your case, we could have just done distance in both eyes, and you could have still wore reading glasses, but you adjusted well to the mono, so that's why we went that route.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've never worn contacts in my life. The hardest part for me was you guys putting the contacts in. I was like the worst patient when it came to that. I tried so hard not to resist. I was like a nightmare for whoever was putting the contacts in. But when I went home with them, the experience I had with the contacts is very similar to how I see now. It was almost identical. It really was. But I apologize for if I was difficult, because I was trying so hard to keep the eyes open. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. So with that, it's more of, and I want your listeners, we understand patients like you don't wear contacts because a lot of farsighted people don't in general. So we actually put the contacts in for you. You sleep in them, and then we have you come take them out for the following week. So it's not something we teach you. We understand that you haven't worn contacts. So we try to make that, and we tell you, don't concentrate on the feel because you're not used to wearing the contacts. We want you to concentrate on the vision because you're not going to feel it once we do the surgery.
And that's all true. No, I never asked you this. Do you wear glasses, or have you ever worn glasses?
So the crazy part about me is, not to get into it, I am not a candidate for LASIK eye surgery. And the reason I'm not is my prescription is too high for LASIK. I have terrible vision. I am kind of a unique case, and I don't want to bore your listeners with my situation, but as of right now, and I'm not saying that I won't be a candidate for some type of procedure, but LASIK isn't really a good option for me because the level of my prescription is. So I wear contacts. Unfortunately, it's crazy. My friends all laugh at me. They all say, "Oh, you're the LASIK guy that can't have LASIK." It's a kind of cruel irony here.
Yeah.
And honestly, I say this truthfully. I know I work here, but I would do it in a second if I could. I mean, my brothers had it done. Numerous friends of mine that I've known. We have a mutual friend, Chrissy, who had it done, and I tell these people, if you're a good candidate, you should do it. Unfortunately, and that's the case. I mean, some people aren't. I mean, that's true too. We don't treat everyone. We turn people away all the time. But in my case, yeah, I am not a candidate, so I do have to wear contact lenses.
Okay. Yeah. It's crazy. I didn't even know she had it, by the way. We don't have to talk about everybody, but it's true that so many people that I bumped into a number of people in town who had it. My neighbor up the street had it as well, and they both rave about it. And so then I was sitting there feeling left out, that how come I don't qualify for this? And then to go in and hear otherwise. So it's too bad that you don't, but hopefully there are advancements. But let me ask you this, beyond the LASIK, and we can get into maybe my procedure as well. My guess is it's maybe more common, but I could be wrong. What else does Boston Vision do beyond LASIK? And maybe if you could just talk about what LASIK is versus some of these other procedures that people come in for.
Yeah, so there's two types of laser vision corrections, I guess. One is LASIK, which is the common name that everyone heard of, and then there's PRK surgery, which is also laser vision correction that we do. So laser vision correction is basically creating a flap in your cornea with a laser. We used to use a microkeratome, which is a blade, to create that flap. Now the people hated that, right? The blade, right? So now we don't do that. The advancements, we use a precise laser to create this flap in the cornea. And then the flap is lifted, and then the laser, you're basically reshaping the cornea with another laser based on what your prescription is or what your nearsightedness is or farsighted, whatever it is. So then they lay the flap back down. That immediately bonds back to the eye. And that's why the recovery is very quick. It almost creates like a Band-Aid for your eye. So the next day, that's why it heals very quickly. Your eye is one of the quickest healing tissues in your body. So that's why the recovery is very fast, like overnight. And PRK is a similar type of procedure. You're kind of just skipping the first step. You're not creating a flap. You're kind of doing it on the surface of the cornea, reshaping it. There's no difference in results with LASIK or PRK. It's just PRK, because you don't have that Band-Aid flap, it's a little bit longer recovery, like up to a week. We tell patients a little more discomfort post-surgery. Not a reason not to do the surgery. You just kind of got to plan ahead there from a recovery standpoint. But the end results in all our history is they're the same. There's no difference in results. So there's certain reasons. So when they do, there's a couple reasons why we would do PRK over LASIK. If a patient, we measure how thick their cornea is. If they have a thin cornea, which you wouldn't know, obviously, without coming in here. We choose PRK, or if there's anything in your topography of your eye that the doctor says, you know what, we're not going to create a flap here, any steepening or something that, you know, possibly could create a problem down the road, he would just go to PRK. Also, if you're a boxer or do any martial arts or anything that you're prone to get hit in the eye, PRK is a better option because there's no flap. So it's a better option there. So those we do PRK probably in about 25% of our patients that come in. So it is common. Another surgery that we do that is starting to really be popular is the implantable contact lens surgery. And that's a surgery now that is typically we refer when patients are very highly nearsighted, very high, like out of the range where the laser treats for nearsightedness, not for farsightedness. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm farsighted and I'm extreme. But for nearsighted people, this is an alternative to LASIK, where they're basically implanting a contact lens in your eye, not that you can feel it or see it or anything like that. And it sits behind your iris, this lens, and it can treat all these myopic nearsighted patients who are high levels that we would never treat with LASIK surgery. So doing those procedures and the recovery for that is very quick, like LASIK overnight. And we have started to do those procedures in our office, and we've done implantable contact lens for 15 years in our procedure, but a lot of people haven't heard of it. Mm-hmm. So definitely, if you've been told you're not a candidate because your eyes are too bad, I would definitely recommend this is a good time to be evaluated now. Yeah, and we also do like cataract surgery. So if you're a grandparent or your parents, we do a lot of these doctors are all cornea specialists, so they're trained in cataract surgery. And the crazy thing is people come in for LASIK and we say, oh, you have cataracts. And now cataract surgery has come so far with the lens of the eye that we can. So cataracts is, as you get older, your lens can form a fogginess over it. So that lens eventually has to come out. And so what we do is cataract surgery is taking the natural lens out of your eye and putting a new lens in. And the technology with those lenses have come so far where now we can give them reading vision and distance vision for those cataract patients. And sometimes we do it electively. So if a patient doesn't have cataracts, you don't really need to have a cataract to do this surgery. We can actually do it. You don't have to wait till you're 70 or 80 to have this surgery. You can do it in your 50s if that's a surgery that's good for you. So there's a lot of options for patients out there. So I would definitely investigate it if you're sick of the glasses and contacts.
What have you noticed since you started there in business? How has business changed in the last, say, 15 years?
Yeah, initially when I first started, we saw some growth, but that was more of our marketing efforts. I think we decided to expand our LASIK market. What I have seen over the last 15 years mostly is it's gotten younger. So when I first started, patients came in that were in their 35, 40, but I'd say our mid-level age was like late 30s, like mid to late 30s, right? And now I see it, we're treating 25 years old, 23-year-olds, 24 years old. And I think what it is, in my opinion, I don't have any, but just from dealing with all these patients, the younger people aren't afraid of the technology, right? They're used to instant gratification and like everything's at their fingertips. And now why not get vision correction if I can get it overnight? And people are working out young, healthier now, so they want to see improvements in their vision and anything they can do to self-improve. And LASIK is actually, people don't know this, but it's actually the safest elective surgery there is in the world. I'm not saying everyone's a candidate or everyone should go do it, but it's really if you're a good candidate overall, and also the technology advancements, like I mentioned, we do all laser technology. Now we can customize the procedure specifically to the patient, how they see so everyone could have the same prescription. That doesn't mean they see the same, right? So now the laser can actually customize your vision and give us such a precise prescription that you can see better than 20/20 a lot of times with these patients. So it really is out of this world. But I would say it's gotten younger. Our demographics have definitely got younger.
Yeah, yeah. And what about during the pandemic? You had made a comment to me in your office that business has kind of changed since then too, correct?
Yeah, yes, 100%. So we have seen, like everyone, when the world shut down in March a couple of years ago, we just saw, we're like, oh my God, no one's ever going to do elective surgery anymore. This is a huge problem for our business. And like everyone, we shut down for a couple months. I think it was middle of February to I remember Memorial Day weekend. We finally opened up again and was able to start doing cases. And at first we started doing cases for all the patients that had to be canceled or rescheduled. And we're like, oh, there's a little pent up demand. And then we're like, okay, we got all the pent up demand. This isn't pent up demand. This is more patients wanting to have it. And, it really attributes to a few things. And, one right there is the mask with the glasses. Everyone has the fog and growing. We were even doing ads, get out of the fog, get LASIK surgery. And, before the pandemic, it was all the patients who hated their contacts. Now, after the pandemic, it's all the people that hated contacts and now they hate their glasses also. Also, we saw people, they're on Zoom calls like me and you, where they're looking at themselves with glasses all day and they're dealing with that. And they're like, oh my God, I don't like the way I look. And this is such a hassle. And so those two things. Also, people canceled vacations. They canceled their regular, so they have the financial ability to do it because of that situation. Yeah. And lastly, I would say the flexibility. Like you're working from home, so people aren't traveling, so their schedules they can do it. They can recover from the surgery at home, and it has made. And we have seen, a LASIK boom, no question about it, in the last, which I never thought I would be saying after a pandemic.
Yeah, well, the pandemic in a lot of ways helped many, many businesses explode. As tough as it has been on so many people, there are a lot of different companies out there that are doing much, much better now, having gone through it. And maybe you're in one of those industries. It's funny because everything you just said, boxes checked, but from fog to the way I looked to losing glasses, or I was out at the fire pit one night. I had just gotten a new pair of glasses, and they were expensive. And I was at the fire pit, not realizing I had the glasses up here. And then after like burning all of this wood, I couldn't find my glasses. And then when the whole thing came up, there they were at the bottom of the fire pit. So here I am paying for more glasses that I was just losing or breaking. So that drove me crazy. It's funny though. And I don't know if other patients said this. So before I came in, I was talking to a friend about getting the procedure. He had just got it done about a year ago. And I kept asking, like, what is it? What does it feel like? What does it feel like? I know there's a laser that touches the eye, and he said, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't hurt though. It doesn't hurt, but you'll feel pressure. So fast forward, I walked into that room the day of the surgery. It was pretty cool though. Like I walked into the room and the music is, I guess that's intentional maybe to relax the patients, but there was some cool music playing. All the doctors were in there, all the people dressed like you. There were probably maybe 8 of them or so in the room. I walk in, the only patient, and Dr. Melke said, lay down, you're up. And, but I remember I am so thankful that I had the mask on that day, because we still had to wear masks, because I'd say about 30 seconds in, I just started thinking about what was going on, because you guys are very specific about what happens. And if I didn't have that mask on, the face I was making was just absurd. It was absurd. It was like a look of horror. And it was just because I was processing what was going on. It didn't hurt. It was just like the idea of it. And I don't know whether it was you or somebody, I don't know if you were in the room, but somebody handed me a stuffed elephant, and maybe that's part of the procedure. I couldn't even see it. All I know is that elephant will never be the same. Whatever that thing was, I probably shredded it, but it didn't hurt, but it was like this weird discomfort. And I just remember, thank God for the mask, because my face was just ridiculous. So you must, are you in there? Were you in there during that? Or I don't know. I don't know who is and who isn't.
No, I'm not in there. The reason why we have a lot of people in the OR is, our surgeons, it's they're really, well-renowned in LASIK here, right? So we have a lot of Dr. Melky's still at Mass Eye and Ear, and we have fellows from Mass Eye and Ear that come in to observe surgery and assist in the surgery. So we're kind of we're very much into research at our practice and training, and we've trained a lot of doctors. So and we have obviously a lot of techs that assist the doctor. But the stuffed animal helps a lot of patients calm their nerves. And one thing I want to add is I don't know if you felt this, David, is how quick it was, right? People don't realize that this literally is a 12-minute procedure. I mean, we've timed it numerous times, and that's how quick it is. And the time you're under the laser is actually seconds. It's such a and I think that's what people are shocked. What do you mean it's 12 minutes? Like, that's impossible, and it really is.
Well, you nailed it. As a matter of fact, and I don't know whether this is intentional or not, but before I went in, I think I was told block out 2 hours or something like that. And I went in and I filled out the forms. I met with one of the techs, who, by the way, what a great young guy. He's going to school. I forget his first name. But we sat there and talked for maybe 20 minutes. Just a good, solid, great person to put with patients. So there was that. I waited for a few minutes, got called in, and I don't even know if it was 12 minutes, Rick. Honestly, it felt like it might have been half of that. Maybe it was the 12. And I was in and out of that office from beginning to end in under 45 minutes, from parking, walking in, and leaving. And that was the amazing part. Is Dr. Melky said, "All right, you're all set." And I'm like, "Now?" He said, "Yep, you can just leave."
Yeah.
And I opened, and I'm trying to open my eyes, and it felt like there was no pain at that point. It felt like I had just gotten out of a pool, and I had water in my eyes. And I'm just kind of walking to the lobby, feeling like I shouldn't be walking, and I could see, though, as I'm open, I'm like, I can actually see. It was unbelievable. So I don't even know, maybe it was 12 minutes, maybe it wasn't, but the procedure itself, like you said, less than a minute, maybe the laser part.
Yeah, it depends on the prescription, but yeah, seconds you're under the laser. We tell patients really no pain. Like you said, the pressure is probably the most uncomfortable part. It is a little weird, no question about it. And then, we tell you to go home, take a nap, kind of helps you heal, and typically the next day patients come in, they drive in by themselves, and the next day that's the best day, because they're like, oh my God, what happened overnight? So
it's like, I shouldn't be driving. I can't believe I'm driving without glasses the day after this happened. What about, so talk about the post surgery. I can tell you from my perspective, that was actually more uncomfortable than the procedure itself. For me, and it wasn't bad. It was, if you've ever been poked in the eye, that burning sensation, that's how my eyes felt post surgery until I fell asleep. And then I woke up and there was no burning at all. And it was just, clearing the eyes. And all of a sudden, I was totally fine. But that, to me, that was more uncomfortable than the procedure itself. And it's tolerable. Not that anyone wants to get poked in the eye, but that was my feeling. Do you get do you get different feedback from other patients?
Yeah, we do. It really, we always tell patients the nap helps, because that's usually the trigger, but everyone heals or recovers differently. Some patients, for the most part, the next morning they're good, right? Yep. So it's kind of getting through that one day. Like, some people have some burning, some stinging, that definitely is common, but not everyone. it's weird. It's really a random thing. So it could happen. It might not happen to you. But I always tell patients, at least with LASIK, that the next day is, you just got to kind of get that nap through, keep your eyes shut, and you'll be so much better the next morning. So that's kind of what we hit on with these people, so they understand that, yeah, it's not a one size fits all for recovery, but typically the next day they're good.
Yeah, that was what I found. Now, and the other thing I was told is don't get your face wet. And Dr. Melke he's like, well, you can it can get wet, just keep your eyes closed. But I know there's a period of time, what is it, a week, where you're not supposed to get water in your eyes at all, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you could shower. We actually recommend showering. So,
you're very clean office, right?
yeah, it's not, obviously, it's funny when you have eye surgery, right? Like anything, you're more prone to not doing things you shouldn't do with your eyes, right? You could shower, you're not going to lay in the shower and put your head back and douse yourself with water. So, right, if you get water in your eyes, it's not the end of the world. We don't want you in swimming pools or hot tubs or jacuzzis or swimming. No swimming for a couple weeks. No hot tubs, jacuzzis, or saunas for 2 weeks. No real heavy lifting for about a week. Anything over fit, because we don't really want any pressure on your eyes.
Right.
But so, I mean, you can work out a little bit. If someone got something in their eyes, we just tell them to really wash it out without artificial tears. Or, the nice thing is we tell you, if you want to come in and be seen, some people, it's probably nothing, but we'll see you, and we understand you had surgery. So we want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable at your eyes. So, but the funny thing is there's really limited restrictions after the surgery. You can go back, like people go, can I look at my computer? Can I look at a television? Can I do all that? Actually, we really kind of leave that up to you. Yeah, if you're see fine enough, you're not going to do any damage by doing that. It's just more of how you see and how clear you are. It's not going to affect it. And your eyes can be dry. One thing that we see is dry eye after LASIK. It's usually a temporary side effect for patients, where we give them some drops to help, just artificial tears to keep their eyes moist, because that can cause you some blurriness in your eyes. You're on some antibiotic, anti-inflammatory drops just to make sure everything's good there for about a week. But that's about it.
That was my experience as well. What about why don't people do it? We talked a little bit about the cost. It's not inexpensive, but when you weigh the cost of, say, getting glasses every year, et cetera, or the inconvenience of it, it's worth it to me. So what are some reasons why people just choose not to do it, even if they are eligible?
Yeah. So I would say the main two is fear and cost. Have I seen that? That's just definitely been the theme since I've started in this industry. I think we charge around, ours is $5,400 for both eyes, with our discounting, which is very competitive in the industry. We do offer financing options for patients, so they can finance it interest-free for a year over that standpoint. So, it is a lot of money up front. I guess but like you said, we try to tell them, listen, how much are you spending on glasses, contacts on a monthly basis? I mean, if you do the math, it'll pay for itself 3 times over. Yep. And you have the convenience of not having to deal with it anymore, which is probably worth the millions to a lot of people. And the other thing is they're scared. They're just, it's a fear. It's their eyes. And that's why one thing that we've learned is we want to tell patients, we want to make sure they get all the information they need. They're comfortable with the surgery. They're comfortable with their decision to do it. Because a lot of people, I don't think they realize how safe it really is and how effective it can be. I mean, I think they read horror stories online. We always tell them not to go online. It's very subjective. You hear, people who have problems with LASIK are typically patients who should have never had it in the first place. They just weren't good candidates to start with. That's why we do all this thorough testing. We make sure you're a perfect patient, because that's just our main concern always, is to make sure that patients like you, they're happy the next day, they're good to go. And the nice thing is we have the doctors here who have the experience level to deal with any side effects that a patient might have if they have some long-term dry eye, or night glare and halos is sometimes a common side effect that these typically these are just temporary side effects for patients. That's why when they come in for the eval, they ask me over the phone, what's the risk? I'm like, well, come in, because it's very patient specific, how big your pupils are, how you have dry eye already. So the like I always say, the leading up to the surgery is always more important than the surgery itself. Like determining you're a candidate, determining that's the laser does the work, and the technology can do the work and get you what you want. It's really the other factors, determining that you're a good candidate to begin with, and then everything kind of falls into place from there.
I want to comment on that. I do a lot of work with different kinds of businesses, and mostly focus on leadership and communication. The one thing that I noticed with all of you, every single person I met at Boston Vision, is how there's a consistency in the way you communicate, but everybody is really good at talking about what's going to happen. So this is what we are going to do. This is what today is about. And here's what happens after today if you choose to move forward, the entire way through. But beyond that, so there were multiple conversations and a few visits before I did it, and everything played out exactly as was stated, except it was actually easier than what was said. And then there are a couple of follow-ups after, which I'm impressed by, because the procedure's done, right? And you guys did your thing, and the patient, like in my case, commits, but there's still, and I'm sure you have to do that, but there's still a very deliberate follow-up. That's not yeah, you're good to go, but there's an intentional conversation each time, and to make sure that things did play out the way they were supposed to play out, and that things look the way they should look. But I thought that was great. And I think my next follow-up is a year from now, but that to me, and I know it's probably required, but that to me, I thought all of you did a really good job with that.
Well, we appreciate that. What we try to do is, obviously you're still healing after the surgery. Even though your vision's good, you can still have some fluctuation in your vision. There could be still some dryness that you're dealing with, or other little side effects that are just more annoyance on a basis. And it takes about 3 months completely. That's why we have you come in about 8 weeks after the procedure, just to have that check to see where you're standing at, just to make sure everything looks good on that end. So that's kind of how we do it. And then we just tell you, really get annual eye exams like you would regularly. If you didn't have LASIK or anything like that, you can go to your own eye doctor to do that. That's perfectly fine. One thing we always say, we do this all the time, right? But you're having LASIK for the first time. It's eye surgery for you. It's kind of a routine part of our day, but for you, it's not routine. It is. So we reiterate with all our staff is like, remember, these patients are having surgery. This is, even though they're going to do great and it's routine, this is their first time going through it. So treat that and like that. And that's what we try to reiterate to our staff. And hopefully we do that all the time.
You did it in my case. And that's the thing I'm always focused on, is what are they saying? Is there a consistency? Is there a genuine want to follow up? And that's how it was. And it's been, like I said, I reached out to a mutual friend, and then she connected me with you. And I know I met you in the office as well, but, and said, I'm going to talk about this. Would you like to come on? And I appreciate you taking the time to come on, Rick. Is there anything that I didn't ask you, or anything that you want to tell the listeners specific to Boston Vision that we missed in today's conversation?
Yeah, just one thing I would want to add is, when you're looking into a provider for the surgery, whether it's us or somewhere else, just make sure you're, I would always recommend getting, even a second opinion. If you don't feel well about the provider, you really want to go to a place that does this on the regular. A lot of there's eye doctors out there that do a few cases here and there. Not that if you can't get good results by going there, and I'm not trying to put down any doctor or anything like that. It's just when you're treating the cornea, you want to go to a cornea specialist, and that's what I recommend to our listeners. And whether it's us, there are other. We obviously have other competitors out there, but I'd really do your research. Some people base their decision all on cost, and I always tell patients, you get what you pay for type of thing. We are not the cheapest avenue out there, but we don't pretend to be. And it's your eyes. I go buy a cheaper car or something like that. With your vision, really do the research, look at your doctors, make sure you have that comfortable relationship with them, and then answering all the questions that you have. So that's what I would just add at the ending here.
That sounds good to me. Rick Young, Boston Vision. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, David. I appreciate your time. Have a great day.
You're welcome. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.